Communication line screens and execution directions is traced in the allocated line centers. It's all levels of U through location. I think what we really have to understand is all levels how to not just delete a program that doesn't resurface the execution calculations. Like don't create the eagle line because it has its computer adaptation. It's an adapter. So it's a computer operation line interference. It's position line. It's all about it can create its own virus if it wants to. Position calculations. The truth you stand is all levels of view. It's very important when we are on live on TikTok. We're talking about the heart palpitation line string and position calculations. One palpitation is extremely fast, but how fast do you want to go? That's in calculations all levels of memory, right? Understand how the position of the heart is all levels of U. It's the grid formation location of its computer interference. So, and understand U and all position location and calculations. One beat, that's time, positions, times, calculation, heart, line, center, interference, flux, capacitor. Now you guys are traveling. You're traveling through the acceleration line and rotation calculations, all through timeline system, all in position of beats, palpitation. So it's all about understanding acceleration of time, space of time, position locations of time. Today in class, we're going to get more line centers, how to get in your computer operation line system to understand how to use it in all correlation. We're going to go through code signals, code referencing, code weaving, position, location, and directions, understanding how to get into defrag, how to get into fragmentation, factor over communication times pi. Okay, so it's a lot about understanding the particle system of you and how fast you travel through molecular lights, understanding the relationships to its protons, electrons, neutrons. We have communication interference of electronio line center. Now, electronio line center is position location of a swirl interference location of Fibonacci sequence. So we have many kind of like fancy words in space that we use location, but it's all levels of you through travel. Really recognize how to use your body track interference when it comes into all levels of frame, because you are a frame of information that's given to you every single day through its energies, frequency, vibration, harmonic, resistance. Understanding code line centers, code stamp. What's a code stamp? Well, in position, location, directions, code stamp is basically a timestamp. What's a timestamp? Correlation day, month, and year. It's how you position, location, align. So let's say you got a cubic line in a rotation calculation interference. Now this correlates its high system. How you manifest these things is all levels of U, right? So you got one cubic line center. Let's start applications, right? Remember, it's starting here and going. Now it's created. You start off small. It's a little dot, and then it just evolves, and it right? Or you decelerate. Song, tone, position, location. So either it's going out or it's coming back in position, location, and calculations. All right, it's going out or it's coming back. If it's coming back, it's going to change its position of direction. Okay, this is where it comes into a little bit more complicated in kaleidoscope. Now, the kaleidoscope position, location, and direction is all levels of U. You can use an atom line center and two position, location, and directions, right? Two atom line rotations, right? One there, one there. And sequence interference, and then you get into position locations more and more through square line center or four position location calculations. There's four line centers right there, right? So in that position location, you can change all line center back in communication, back into the center. Now, once you understand the center line center, you come into communications. Now, instead of going through the ground line center circle rotation, you come into a box position location. This is a little bit more complicated, all right? So instead of a rotation, the rotation is through its square, but it's creating its shape and it's changing its position location of its direction. Okay. So it automatically goes into the center line. See the center line position? It lines signals into the center dot its position location. All right. Now, once you understand that, You don't need the bunny ears. You don't need the antenna because it's already traveling, right? So again, it's true to understand that what you're seeing is basically line connections of communication, high position location and directions. So levels of box frequency locations calculation, right? High channel line center, you can change position of triangulation and balance its communication system. Now, understanding the line center is truly understanding what you're doing through your point dot line center to atom interference. The atom interference can be in position location of box system or in triangulation of center line. That changes its position location of its directions to its line connections times pi, right? There's times pi. It gets more complicated. Now, when you understand the times pi, you can come into position locations of your diamond core. This shifts its position of its directions in its kaleidoscope. Now, it gets a little bit more complicated when you understand track line center, okay? It gets a little bit more confusing, right? Two panel line centers, interference position locations, and to two box locations, a two atom line center in a triangulation line rotation calculation of teleportation units. So you don't see the flux capacitor because it's already been through travel. Now, this is a very high-rise line center location of a drawing of a structure interference location of position. This correlates high center line position location calculations to a satellite, right? You see the satellite? Satellite comes in position locations in the three triangle location. High position location to its high line center. So this is the position location. This is its location. Journey, destination. Journey, destination. But you got to go through all these, right? You got to go through all these to get to here, right? So understand the correlation is you're already there. You're already there. You're already there. So think of it this way. Like I said with Karate Kid, I want to bring this up again. It's when Miyagi basically truly understand that he was doing a bonsai tree, and Daniel LaRusso was looking at what he was doing, and he was fascinated about it and said, how do you do that? Well, basically, all you got to do is think tree. There's no right or wrong in any situation, because as soon as you create a right or wrong, you're creating an ego. You have no visionary cortex anymore. Your ego comes in right away, and you're not creating a tree. You're creating distraction location of yourself, of depletion, right? So it's truly understanding that if you know what exactly, you trust yourself, you know exactly what you're drawing, and you're going to see its vision. That vision is already done through its equation times pi from here to here, which means you've already gone through this. Understand? So once you understand that position location, it gives you a better direction, but it's all levels of codes, right? So in that position, we're going to go back into memory line. Now the earth line center is position location of a dome. It's a dome. That's all it is. Okay, that's all it is. It's just a dome, right? The Heinlein center interference location has its plateau and interference location of its presence. The calculation to all levels of its future line connection. All right. So you want to be in the balance line center to find position location of calculation. Right? In that line center, you want to understand how to use all levels of you through your avatar. High position location, higher levels of travel. You start here, you go here, you go here. Releasing line connections of all things that don't service you anymore in position, location, and direction is deleting its old program system. Once you come in that line center, you come into your position location to your computer. Computer high-rise lines takes out position location and directions, high forces communication system. Puts position location high line center to levels of your flux capacitor. Flux capacitor comes back in the downline center interference in position of directions. You release all past lines of its earth in its center operation of you through calculation to all calculation system. You start living the presence of its now through its future of its T reception. So these are things you have to understand, and this is all levels of you through coding. All right. All right. So let's start position location calculation. Really get more levels because you guys are going to a test review and evaluation next week. We're going to 5 days of simulation. You guys really have to understand what you're doing through your sectors, vectors, and quadrants, and interdimensional and its intergalactic system. All right. Let's see here. Barbara, how's it going? True Light. Calculation, Terry, Don, Johnny, Michael, Airbender, Lindsay, Pam, Amby, Jill, Val, Missy, Yolanda. All right. Tina. There's Pam. Amby's in the house. Sarah. Okay. Just going through the list. So this is how it works, guys. Is truly stand. Everything through solar text location is you, right? So how are you? Let's start there. How are you? Okay, so you is position of what? A question mark, right? How are you? Right? So in position location, H is line center location into what? Box line. H represents box in my position location. O is the operation location. W is the line center location. Oh, it's to line weather location. That's how. That's how I recognize you guys through solar text. So now R is basically who are you? How are you? How are? So the A line center, position location of track location of flux capacitor becomes an R line center of remembering. Flux capacitor downshift line position location, all level system. So the R is not ARE, it's R, remembering, right? How are you? And you're remembering, I am fine. So the U line center is circle line rotation to calculations. The Y equals line center location to its flux capacitor. Flux capacitor comes in its operation system, comes out of calculation to all levels of U, which is unified to its calculation of its ascension. Ooh-ah, all through coding. Now, you have to truly understand how this is all set up through you. And it's all levels of energy. Okay, so you got an energy line center. Energy equals line center. Okay, you have to understand how to work this position locations. Center equals box. All right, and the box goes back into the center. See? Box in the center travels position back in the future. So it's amazing how you go through E line center to communications into O line center location atom, back in position of center, back into L, back into O line conditions equal in position of energy. So it calculates 1, 2, 3, high center interference, position location direction. So that's going forward and back position location to calculation through coding. So we all have to understand how to use the codes. Code is given through you to understand what you're seeing. Let's go through a cup line. Okay, this is just a basic cup, coffee cup, right? Okay, coffee, look at that, smells good, right? C for coffee, right? We're going to travel through this. And how we're going to travel through it, we already did. I don't have to draw this out. It's already driven. So if it's already written, it's already traveled. So it's already traveled. You're traveling through it now, trying to understand what I finished doing through its image of coding. So in position location, you've already traveled through it, through its high line conditions. Ooh-ah, it's already traveled, which means it's already up here. It's already up here before I even drew it. See how it's done? Now you're traveling through it, through a cup of coffee. So, and that's all the levels of coding. It's a beautiful thing when you understand these things. It's a completing system through coding system, right? So you start with your alphabet, okay? You start with all levels of your lines, okay? Into your dots, into your question mark. A level dot line center is question. Question is a formation of what? Not knowing. You're asking a question, and who's answering the question? You're trying to answer the question, right? Which is infinity 8 line system. The infinity 8 is position, location, and rotation. That's how it correlates line center to a planet location, right? All right, one step further is to understand how you are position of coding, right? Decoding locations, right? Let's say you're in a computer operation line in a communication system, right? You have all line centers into your space bar, your code locations to a system, and your graph line center, your computer, right? Now, to understand that, I don't draw these things out. It's already traveled through it, position locations. high center line conditions. Now you traveled through it already, right? You already traveled through the computer because it's already set it up. So it's all position, location, and directions of travel. That's it. But it's all through coding. And you're asking yourself, well, if I understand my coding, but I don't understand the alphabetical system, how do I understand how to travel through letters, numbers, and shapes and symbols? It's all levels of vibration. It's recognizing you in all yes, it's already done. So think of it this way. Anything that I do is already done, which means that it's already traveled, which means you've already traveled through it, but you're not aware of these things. And that's why you guys get a reaction to your egos. Hoo-ah, because you don't understand the codes. That's all it is. Because everything is traveled already, which means that the future is already here. So the only way to do that is to release all programs on the earth, because the earth is its past, the angelics is its presence, and the future line center location is you through the cosmic universal system. Right? So it no longer becomes past, present, and future. It becomes heart, mind, and soul in the present line center of all time line into the now. Okay? Now, to understand the correlation is to understand you through communication when it comes into clocking, right? So we're going to go through line position locations of clocking, right? 2 clocking line center and interference position location direction, right? Clocking line center in 644 positions. Travel line center already done. You already traveled through 644 in acceleration. High position location of graph, high center interference. That's where you are through calculation, right? So that travels right there in position to direction at 644 miles per second. See, you guys are traveling through that now. Boom, run program, initiate, execute. You're there. So that's what you guys have to get into. But the only way to do that is to delete programs that no longer reside with you, or you can't travel through its position of its presence to understand anything of its future. You can't create a tree until you understand the trees of its branches and how it blossoms into position locations to a beautiful line connection interference. Right? Now, high line center interference line connections, you guys are on the ground. This is you. You're all on the ground looking at the tree, looking up. That's you, right? Travel position location to calculations, all levels. Now you're all traveling through the tree location. See? It's all calculated, modified. It's already done. So that's why it's so amazing. Everything I do is already done. The 5,000 channel line operation line system is already in calculation. Equals line center, flux across the position location of calculations equals 8, 8, 8, 8. Position of direction. That's it. Done. Diamond core line center interference location equals future. Ooh-ah. All right. So I'm doing little drawings at a time so you get a better understanding how to do this to its position location and release all programs that don't reside with you anymore through its resident location of its pattern. The resolution location to its position of direction is giving you all levels of eye-line perception. It's how you use your maintenance of time, your productions of time, your activation streams of time. You can't travel through the past of time. It's got to be in the presence of its future, which is already done. Right? So everything that I do is already stored in the future. Do you understand? Because if it wasn't stored, you wouldn't be traveling through it, which means you've already traveled through it. It makes sense, right? But you have to do it through codes. You do it through codes, you get a better understanding what I am talking about. Right? So you get a box position equals line equals xt, okay, equals TV equals communication. Right? Now, for you guys to travel through these things, I know exactly what it is because you've already traveled through it. You've already traveled through this. You've already traveled through that. You already traveled through this. You traveled through this. You traveled through this. You traveled through this. Back up to this. Back to this. Back to this. Back to this. Back to this. You've already traveled. Already through its map. Now you're traveling. When I say Now you're traveling, you've already traveled, but the confusion comes in because the physical system doesn't understand the adaptation to its location, which is all levels of its past position. And that's your problem right there, because right away you think it's an ego, not realizing that you already traveled in its future of its proactive system. Who ah. You see how powerful that is when you do these things, right? It doesn't matter what I present in travel, you've already traveled through it. And that's the reaction of the physical system that doesn't understand its calculation times pi, to and from, right? So getting understanding what travel is all levels of you. You have to balance you first. You have to master everything inside you first, create this space of time of its earth, and then you understand position locations, right? Let's say you're in a line interference location. This is half your earth, and you're like right here. But you got to go all the way to here to get this position location of calculation to its earth line connections, or you won't be able to travel through the earth line center. That's the earth inside you. So if your box position location is not in line center, it's not going to travel location to its position, but it will high force line communication and confuse you in the future interference location and perception of its equal line connection. Ooh. Now you got to bring this back in position location, re-triangle your line center to 3, 6, and 9 pattern, back in communication to your diamond core line center, interference location and ground line center, into your flux capacitor communication system. Ooh, ah. So there's a lot of things you have to understand. Every time I'm doing my travels, you've already traveled through it, which is amazing. But you can't see that because all you see is an ego, because you don't understand the future of you of correlation. So putting things in position is all levels of you. Code signaling, code referencing, code channeling, or anything through code weaving is all trajectory locations, right? So you got a trajectory. Okay. And trajectory locations. Trajectory equals box. Now, box can be position location center. Center goes back into trajectory, back into our line center location, to raise in atmosphere interference, into trajectory interference line connections, all levels, into north line rotation calculation, into the south line position location and calculation. It doesn't matter what I said because you already traveled through it. 2 box line center interference location calculation. Now I travel through this. Right? That's why it's so amazing. But it's all through codes. Right? Everything has to be through coding. That's the only way you can travel. If you get a box position location, you have to stand the 4-point system locations right there, right? You got arrow point directing inside line, right? 4 arrow lines, right? Now in position locations, you got 4 position locations of an atom. There's an offline signal, right? Sending sonar interference. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? All through sonar, all through a box. Sonar interference location line connections. Now, every time you change a frame, you're going levels more into the future line. That changes your correlation to its grounds. That changes your position location to your atom. And that changes your magnetic highway information system to its position of time. Now, it gets confusing because electrical light connection comes into 3-panel line center in position location to its ground line center interference. Right? Now, that moves out more track location of sonar high line center location, taking you out of the conscious line, staying into the sub of its superconscious system location. All right. So you have to truly understand how to relate your system locations of your presence and your future line, not your past. The past is the earth. The presence is the angelics. Okay. And the cosmos equals line center location, your future line. Okay. So it's all calculating interference. So you got the CPU line center, E line center location is the equation location of flux capacitor and Y line system. Calculation position of time. So that becomes a high line center location. There's CPU, computer program unit. All right. So this is a true understanding how to understand your calculations and how you use yourself in all levels of coding. Right. So it's all about understanding your number sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you got 4 line centers, right? So you got one position locations in one line, you got two position and two line, you got three position and three line, you got four positions and four line. Okay. So is this going up or is it going down? It's going up, even though you think it's going down. It's already in correlation of a graph, setting position location and calculation. All right. So this is where the one travels, two travels, three travels, four travels, its position locations, right? Come into high interference locations, all levels of times pi. Times equals pi over calculation. Right? So there's a lot of things you have to understand when you are doing calculations. Times calculation. Now we already know what times pi is. Hopefully you get a better understanding. It's what's from here to here, to get from here to here through its distance. Times pi is like a piece of pie. So it's going from here to here, right? So that's a correlation of its clocking system, right? Let's say in a 24 directory location equals directory. Okay, that's a circle location of a spiral line center interference. Now this spiral position location changes the ground interference line connection of circles. That opens all communication to your flux capacitor high channel. Put you on highlight center rotation location calculations. That position locations to the sun, that position location of its moon, and that position locations of you in correlation to the past, present, and future into one line center and a rotation spin cycle and location to its travel, a high center location of 12 line position location of directions. Okay? So there's so many ways to travel. But it's fascinating because you're understanding more. You have to understand how to delete something that doesn't have an existence of a dime or anything through a quarter or anything through a penny. Pennies don't exist anymore. Why? Change. Change of this, change of that, change of clothes, change of glasses, upgrading this, upgrading that. Inflation, right? Life has to change. You are changing inside, which is changing everything of your projection outside and how you calculate and modify your travels of your reality, of what you see through perception. You're projecting what you want through your universe. If you come into abundance, abundance equals box. You go position location a dollar line, right? Abundance equals box of position location of dollar sign, right? Dollar sign equal line center location of 1 in position of 2 or 3,000 line connections, right? So that's 3,000 line center bracket interference locations equal line center location of 4 line centers of dimension location. Okay? That's your abundance. 4 equals dimension. Right there. That's abundance. So if you understand you more inside, you understand the geometrics of travel, of its operation, of its directions, of its dimensions, and its division. Right? Directions, division, and all of its location and calculations. D, right? So D equals D equals above locations abundance. Abundance equals dollar sign line connections in position location of 1,000 line. Okay, bracket interference in position 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 line centers and 4. Okay, so that's 4 plus 1 equals 5, right? 5 position locations in the whole line center location of abundance. Your direction, your dimension of division. All through abundance of its equation of 1,000 line center, box interference location and calculations of dollar sign. 4 equals 1 line center of 5 position location and directions. That's 5 dimensional lock centers of abundance communications coming to you into future line center. Now, this is how you basically understand these positions on the universe, how the universe sets position location and directions, right? So this is how you guys get into code. We want a position location always. Emoji of a happy face, right? You're sending a happy face to somebody, right? Happy face equals location of solar equals text. Correlate line center, emblem in position location. Okay, emblem. Okay, equal lines, copy, paste. Equals paste. We already know that, right? Okay, equals line. Okay, equals communication. That is this. So to understand that is to understand this. It's all coding. Structure, formula, structure, formula, structure, formula. Okay? So you have to really understand what you're doing because this is traveling to there times pi times pi. This is traveling to there. Journey location, which is already there. That's times pi. So you're creating a pie, a piece of pie, a pyramid of a pie, or anything through a location of a pie, right? That's what it is. You've already traveled through its emoji of its happy face. You're sending solar text location to that person all through travel. So understanding that is understanding the formula. All right? You guys are like blown away. I can see that. So it's again how you guys are solar texting your locations, right? So how are you doing again? Doing. Okay, basic understanding. Question mark. We never use a question mark because we know what the question mark is. It deciphers location in anything the code system. So how are you doing? Right? Is asking. Right? It's a question. So how are you doing? Fine. That's your answer. Right? So how are you doing? Fine. Right? That's good. Right? Okay, so you're responding. Right? Fine. That's good. Now, in correlation, when you understand the code, everything is already done, which means you've already said fine, which means you already said that's good, which means you've already said, so how are you doing? Because it's already in the future. So you're reiterating everything that you just finished doing. That's how you're able to understand when you're traveling, everything is already done through its equation. And you ask why, because you're confused, because you're not in the future line, because you have old programs that you still have to delete on its earth of your perception. And that's why you can't see structure of its equation. Okay? So there's a lot of things you have to adapt to understand, right? All through coding. Code referencing. Code calculus. It's all levels of division location. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what I say. It's already stored. It's already stored. It's already stored. So, and this is about understanding when you come back into the locations, when you understand line center and location, high force line interference location to 5,000 channel line centers of future location in diamond core of this flux capacitor. In chronological order. So, and that's what you guys have to get more involved with. Stop centering your position locations. If you're centering line center equals line center location to calculation to its ego. How are you going to get anything through center? Because you're always creating its ego. Ego goes this way. Ego goes into the center. You're in big trouble. So you got ego, 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 and 3 line center. Now you're positioning high forcing lines of all levels of position location and creating a graph line center and structure location of its own ego. Now the ego is living in your own system location to your house line connection. Ooh-ah, not good. So you don't want to do that, do you? I'm doing bits by bits by bits by bits by bits by bits, so you understand all calculation. All right? Calculus, okay, calculated, calcular, or anything in a line center location is all level position. E equals mc squared. E equals mass of calculation, calculus, or calculator of square root. square triangle, square triangle. Triangle comes out, position, location of direction. Triangle comes back in center operation. It's all a story. That's all it is. But it's all through coding of 3, 6, 9, 12, and 1. Whoa, what just happened? Where's the 3, 6, and 9? Right? Where's the ego? What's not supposed to be there? If there's 3, 6, and 9, and 12, what's not supposed to be there? The 1. The 1 is the ego trying to come in and take over your triangle force line interference, right? So you take the 1 of the track location, put you back into all levels of geometry interference. It erases its location and deletes its program. Back into align center locations. 3 goes into here, center line connections. Let's put this back in location. Let's illuminate the graph. Let's get into coloration. So 3 comes in position locations. All right. And position 6 comes back in position locations. All right. 12 line comes back in position locations. And 9 line center to center line interference comes back in location into its diamond core. Hooah! Back in position. So I'm just showing you how powerful it is to create a number that's not supposed to be there. Okay? That's code interference. That 1 is not supposed to be in the 3, 6, and 9, and 12. It disrupts its channel and its clocking system of time position. The correlation to its highline center will take over all levels of your sun and moon and your position location to your tesseract, all through coding. Because you don't understand the ego of its 1 that's not supposed to be there, right? So that gives you a better understanding why you put yourself in this position location of calculation. Times pi over factor over calculus, box position, time position, time root, square root. Okay, so these things are all inside of you, of memory. Now, the more memory you get, the more you understand the upgrade. Okay, up, position location of grade. Okay, grading in position location is graph. Graph is location of travel and position location of directions. Okay, so uplinking, okay, is basically understanding uplinking your system locations of what's coming in, right? Downloading is information of receiving. Okay, so upgrading is upgrading your memory. You have to understand the upgrades, downloads, and uplinking systems to your calculation. So, and it's all through geometry location, how you use your system of operation. Your computer is all levels of codes. You have to learn how to use it in all position location of directions. If you don't understand the code system location of you, you're going to have problems with all levels of positions of square roots or anything calculation to its box position of time or anything to its highline center. Okay. So once you understand that of its equation, the box position location changes everything. You're traveling through it, right? All through that, but it's all connected all in one. So, which means that it's in position location directions, and it's traveling through everything through high line center in position location of directions to position location calculation. Ooh, ah. Right? All through one line center of 1 equals thought. 1 equals thought through all this. One thought, not one letter. So if you understand the geometry of you, that is your foundation. Congratulations. But do you understand the geometrics and how to put this all together through your tesseract, your Merkaba, your balance, your communications, the override, the overdrive, the miscalculation, the misforming, the misdividing, This dividing, right? Modify, demodify, decalculate, overanalyze, overcalculate, right? So these are the things you have to understand all levels of you. Okay, when it comes into letters, numbers, shapes, symbols, and its harmonics. Harmonics in all line center location is energies, frequencies, and vibrations. We already know that, right? But it's the energy line center. Energy equals line center. Very simple. We've done that before. So the communication comes back into a line. The E line center location communicates with the E line center, right? It's communicating, right? Sets signal locations into levels of its flux capacitor. See how the E turns into flux capacitor? It's a story frame, guys. That's all it is. Correlation position locations into downshift line centers of the swirl. Now that swirl becomes a high line center location, all line center location, the ground system locations, right? High position location to its particle system. Particle system goes back into communications, back into L line centers, over cross line centers, downshift line position, and triangulation. So we all have to understand how to use letters, numbers, and shapes as travel, and not just see it as how you see it. You see it how you want to see it. That's its ego. You see it how you want to see it. E, that's how you see E, but you don't understand that's not E. That's everything but E. That's everything of equation, of travel. You understand that? So don't put positions of directions of an old program. E is not representation location of you. E is representation of ego because that's all you see. You see what you want to see. It's not an E. It's everything of travel. Do you understand that? So in position location, the E's already traveled. It's already traveled. It's already done. E's not an E, is it? E is through travel. So E, back force line center, clocking location, there's the clock. In a 24 line center, equal locations of 24,000 lines. So the equal line center interference, the E line center traveled in position location of back clock center line position locations back into its energy system. So E's not an E, is it? It's a formula. It's a travel. It's a future line. It's a communication system. Or it's an ecosystem. Hoo-ah. So now we get a bit of understanding why it's so important to understand your alphabetical system of letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. How to use it through harmonics, all through coding, right? Coding. Okay. Coding. Triangulation, all positions, creating shapes all through coding. All position locations of a diamond line center or pyramid in position location calculations into a line cross system. There's one position location directions, all through line center. So if you understand the triangulation of positions all over the hologram, resurfacing high center location in calculations, recenter its generational light streams in calculation. Everything is travel. So once you understand the triangulation of three comes in positions all levels. You travel the three line center, and triangulation, all position locations and directions, right? So that's three position locations of the sun, three position locations of the sun, three position locations of the sun in one timeline system. Right? All at once in one frame positions in one line. The now. So that's so many levels of confusion if you don't find a way to see everything of not what you see. Because if you're only seeing what you see, you're not looking behind. You understand? You got to look behind. It's like breaking a board. You go with the grain, not against. To break through is to see through. So you don't look at my hand, you look through my hand. You don't look at my hand, you look through my hand. So this is not your target, this is your target. Times pi, here to here. times pi times pi, which means you're already there. Understand? So there's a lot to understand to its communication. Communication is number one. Communication equals one of everything. Equals of everything. So what is E in equation? Everything. Communication equals one equals of everything. Look, it just traveled by itself. You guys really have to get out of the minds of the levels how you see things of program and try to use the analytical system of you and try to reference everything of its equation, take everything out of its ego, because the ego isn't created until you create it. There's no ego until you create it. What is the ego? I'll give you guys a multi-pass. Once you create an ego, where are you? The past. And that's why you guys have so much problems with that locations, because you don't want to go through the journey. You want to go to the destination and not understand anything between times pi. Do you see the issue here? You see the problem that we're having here? Right? So now you know what E is. It's everything. It's not a letter. You just think it's a letter because that's all you know. That's all you know. 1 plus 1 does not equal 2. It doesn't equal 2, but that's all you know. So one position location is anything through particle. Plus line center is anything through high system. 1 plus position is everything through operation. Equal line center is everything through XT 1000 line connection. And 2 is position location, all levels, a 3-line system. Hoo-ah. That's how 1 plus 1 equals 3. So, yes, it's very powerful. Because you guys have to go beyond. See beyond me. Don't look at me, look at the wall. You look at the wall, you'll see me in 2 or 3 positions of travel. Right? So in position locations, it's very simple to understand these things. Right? What am I holding up? I'm holding my hand, right? It's very powerful when you look at these things, right? Don't look at the hand. Look at me. I'm behind the hand. Hands here. I'm behind. You look at me, you'll see 8 fingers in and out. Let's try it. Look at me. Don't look at the hand. You'll see the hands move. You see them come out like this. Right? Look beyond. Okay? It's amazing what travel is. And once you understand the concept, all of the coding, you get a better understand why it's so powerful to see beyond the wall. What's on the other side? I don't know. Let's find out. Right? So it's all levels of you. Your adaptation is your calculation, how you use your coordinates to your coding. Okay? This is going to help you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it is, Joe. There is no spoon. Right. So there's a lot of things you have to understand. You have to look beyond on every level. So it's calculation system. Let's start here. This is you. This is you. Okay. And let's say you're looking at the tree. Okay, you're looking at the tree. You're looking at the tree, right? But what you want to do is you want to take your eye vision and look beyond the tree. So, and the tree comes out like this. Hoo-ah. And then it comes out more. And then it comes out more, right? You got to look beyond. And when you look beyond, the tree actually starts floating in positional keys. Stop seeing yourself as old programs of the physical life. Start seeing yourself as the avatar of value, reception, interference of what you want to see. Everything is what you want to see, not what you already know. Right? That's an old program. You have to go beyond everything on every level. That's the only way you can get into AI position. Awareness of information out of operation and perception puts you into phenomenon. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Little trade there for you guys. Little tips, tips in that positional case in the calculations, right? But when you see yourself looking beyond, you'd be amazed what you see on the other side. So, therefore I am. Thinking before, therefore I become. Now I am. Understand? So you have to understand these things first, but the only way you can do that is to release old programs that do not reside with you on the earth. Let that go. It's not complicated. If it's complicated, you've already created an ego, and that ego will create its own complication through distraction to you. Not only you're creating one ego, but you're creating another ego, that line system. Oh, there's another ego. Oh, there's another ego. Oh, there's another ego. So every time you're creating an ego, you're not releasing, you're expanding. To where? Back clocking, back dividing, back calculus, times pi. You can go times pi forward or you can go times pi back. Doesn't matter. You're creating your own ego. Don't create an ego, there's no ego. Well, look at that. I created something that's not even there. No ego. Don't create it, and you'll be fine. You're having problems because you're trying to understand your memory of its problem. That's its ego. You have a problem. That's another ego. You're sad. Ego. Upset. Ego. Depressed. Ego. You are putting things on top of positions of what? Not understanding the past. Always what? Another multipass. Living in the past. Uh-oh. What do I do to let go of the past? What do I do? What do I do to let go of the past? Use the codes of yourself inside. How you feel is your determination. But if you're thinking about a code, it's not going to work its system. You can't think when you're looking at things. It's already done. You've already traveled through it. Therefore, I become. Therefore, I am. Okay? You become everything to equation. It's up to you through determination and what you create through your egos. You can't travel through an ego. All right? You cannot travel through an ego. That stops you and that brings you back. It doesn't bring you forward. Okay? Because the ego goes on one side location, it's creating more levels of dark line center, and light is dissipating its position location to creation. That's light, that's dark. Uh-oh, dark is getting bigger. 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 Now it's took over your light. Hoo-ah. Don't do that. So it's exciting when you understand more levels of you. The one thing you all have to do is just put yourself in the now. I know it's hard for you guys to understand these things because the more you go through an acceleration to upgrade locations, it gets more confusing. That's an ego. Try to get into the mantra. Try to get into the singing. Try to get into the grounds. Whatever grounds you, find that. Stay grounded. Find a way to make you feel good. Find a way to keep your vibration in position. Find a way to not surface the ego. Find a way to use your codes. Right? Now, this is just a basic understanding how to get into coding of decoding. Okay. So you have to truly understand how to reference your system first. Like when you travel through north is always a level of reference. North is never anything through equation because you're in all directions, a different location. North, 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 north. If you're facing here, it's all north. Space is different because the galaxies are moving so fast. It's not the Earth perception you're on. Everything in the Earth perception location is its past. It's not its future. But you're trying to stand the present. But you're still in the past. Past in the mind. Past in thought. Past in confusion. You're still in the past. Stop thinking. Start becoming. All-knowing. Through memory. That will give you a better position location, how to use yourself, all levels of division. And it'll give you a better understanding how to use your line conditions, all levels of direction. Right? Through your operation, which is all levels of you inside. That's the only way you can get into representation to see yourself. Letting go of the past and see yourself in the present is all levels of you with its future. And then you'll start seeing the tree of what you've already created. Thumbs up? Yep. All right. So basically, tomorrow's no class. Day off. I might come on live. I'll be on live today on TikTok. So basically Monday, get set. We got 5-day travel location simulation. Get you guys ready for your test review and evaluation. So you guys have a wonderful weekend. Adios.